The Denver Broncos get a B from me. Obviously, like I'm not a big fan of trying to like somebody because everybody else like that person. Case in point, Bradley Chubb. I mean, when I look at the Myles Garrett pick last year with the Browns, my I wanted to like throw a goddamn chair across the room because like when you look at all the teams that they drafted a defensive player like number one overall, they didn't really go anywhere until they got a quarterback anyway. I mean, the last time I checked, nobody scores points and wins a damn game with not just no quarterback, but with fewer points than the other team. There's no point in picking a pass rusher unless you can have more points than the other team at the end of the day. I'm not trying to say that, I hate defense and I want my games to be 35-34, and that being the victory margin all the time. I'm not for that. Okay, the reality is that football is a game where you outscore the other team while allowing the other team to score as few points as possible. Denver might be able to do that, but it's going to be a very difficult proposition considering that a top 5, top 10 corner like Aqib Talib is no longer there. And as much as I do like Vance Joseph, I personally felt that his true coaching abilities were exposed in the Senior Bowl because he was not only going against a much better coach like Bill O'Brien, but his he had more talent. He had Mayfield and Josh Allen on his team, and he didn't do shit with them. I mean, like they only allowed Bill O'Brien's team to score 45 points in that game. But maybe with the changes in Kansas City as they go from Alex Smith to Pat Mahomes, Eric Berry is somewhat older, but he's recovering from an Achilles tear, I believe, or an ACL tear, I should say, and a lower body injury. He's recovering from a lower body injury, and so there could be some discontinuity issues there. Philip Rivers is getting older. In a prior video that I talked about Philip in, I pointed out how he has a pass rating of 70 against teams with 10 or more wins, and a rating of 108 against teams with 9 or fewer wins. And obviously the Raiders. The guys who have more than 5 years of layoffs usually don't do very well. Joe Gibbs in 2004 didn't do well in his first year back with the Redskins after a decade-plus layoff, and obviously you have Dick Vermeil, coming back after 15 years, didn't do shit with the Rams in his first year there. Well, Gruden is coming back for the first time since the 2008 season. It's 10 years. 10 years he's coming back, and so Denver could technically win the division, especially with Jared Veldheer coming in and playing alongside Ron Leary and Matt Paradis at center, who are probably their two best players. But to possibly get the team on the scoreboard, the Denver Broncos picked some players that I really do like, at least in the perimeter. Cortland Sutton is, in my opinion, a much better prospect than given credit for because of him being an NCAA basketball player. The last 4 players that I've seen go to the NFL after being NCAA basketball and NCAA football wide receivers, NCAA basketball players and NCAA wide receivers, the last 4 that I've seen go in, 3 of them found success by making at least 1 Pro Bowl. Terrell Owens in 1996, Vincent Jackson in 2005, and then there's DeAndre Hopkins. Matt Trenton would be that 4th guy, but he was a flameout and a late round draft pick back in 2008. There are some other basketball players who became wide receivers in the NFL. But in the case of this one player, he was a quarterback who then converted to wide receiver while he was in the NFL, and that was Antoine Randall. Randall threw a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl 40 when he was a member of the Steelers and they played against the Seahawks. And he landed a pretty big free agent contract from the Redskins after the 2005 season. And in one of his seasons, as like a very unnatural player, a guy who wasn't used to playing wide receiver, he even caught 50 passes in a season. 50 passes isn't bad for. He had 3 straight seasons of 50 plus passes from 2007 to 2009. Just missed McNabb. But yeah, I feel like this the basketball thing is kind of relevant because of the hand-eye coordination that you develop from playing that sport, and the fact that you could apply it to a sport like football. Sutton had played for Larry Brown at SMU for a season, albeit only played 3 games, but at least he's getting practice. At least he's developing some hand-eye coordination skills to play wide receiver. Another a receiver that I do like, who for some reason I could see surpassing Sutton, and that's Deshaun Hamilton. He's the Penn State wide receiver, picked in the 4th round. He is a potential slot receiver down the road. He first made to the East West Shrine game and then parlayed that success into a Senior Bowl invite. And he seemed to be a pretty good prospect for that game. In addition, I'm not sure about Royce Freeman, the running back out of Oregon State. That school tends to put out a lot of running backs who could have artificially inflated stats. Sure, the Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich scheme is no longer there, but maybe with Freeman being able to transition from the Helfrich scheme to his next one, shows you how much I know about college football. I don't even know the damn head coach at Oregon, but why the hell watch a goddamn sport that not only doesn't pay its labor and doesn't pay its labor enough, but I don't care to watch any goddamn school or any goddamn organization that actually believes that band music is good for celebration. Willie Taggart, and Mario Cristobal. He coached for the Oregon Ducks. I didn't know that. Good to see him back. Well, yeah. So he goes from one scheme to the next. Maybe he could be the successor to C.J. Anderson, but it does and maybe since Bill Musgrave is the new offensive coordinator, they could be running that Gary Kubiak, Mike Shanahan scheme, considering that Musgrave is a Mike Shanahan disciple and a former player of Mike Shanahan's too. And in fact, Bill Musgrave coached for Chip Kelly in the 2014 season. He did, because he succeeded Bill Lazor, who ultimately had gone to the Miami Dolphins and is now currently the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. So maybe that could be a good fit, considering where Chip Kelly coached, who coached for Chip Kelly, Musgrave, and who was at one point a Chip Kelly scheme member, and that's Royce Freeman, except it was under Helfrich. And lastly, Troy Fumagalli. Fumagalli is one of those tight ends who looks like he could have a better college career because of how he was used at Wisconsin. Kind of like Gary Barnidge, where the production was just not there, but under different circumstances, he was able to find success in the pros. In Barnage's case, it was the Cleveland Browns, but Fumagalli is one of those guys who, if you find a way to get him the ball, maybe even get him totally savvy with the tight end position, he could be productive. Frankly, I wish that the Broncos could have found better talent at tight end, because they haven't had a good one since Julius Thomas left. But maybe maybe some people could bloom. Hell, like it's possible that even one of these wide receivers could be the new tight end. You just never know. Even Shannon Sharp, former wide receiver at Savannah State, became a tight end. Well, hopefully the Broncos turn things around at one point this season. If they win the division, God bless them. I mean, based on last year, anything could happen. Hopefully, things could happen for not just the Denver Broncos, but for a lot of the new players there.